Picture the most boring car you've ever seen in your life. Now make it more boring. That's the GAZ-21 Volga, a gray, heavy, agricultural Soviet sedan that looked like someone described a car to a committee and the committee had never seen a car. The GAZ-21 Volga was the Soviet Union's answer to the Toyota Camry. Slow, unremarkable, the kind of car that disappeared into traffic the moment the GAZ-21 Volga left a parking lot. Soviet doctors drove the GAZ-21 Volga. Factory managers drove the GAZ-21 Volga. Bureaucrats who had done just enough to earn a reward but not enough to earn anything interesting, they drove the GAZ-21 Volga. Nobody feared the GAZ-21 Volga. Nobody even noticed the GAZ-21 Volga. That was exactly the point. Because somewhere in Moscow, in a building with no sign on the door and no name on the intercom, the KGB had a problem. Western diplomats were moving through Soviet cities in powerful American V8 sedans. CIA operatives were making contact runs, quick, clean, and fast enough that standard Soviet surveillance vehicles couldn't keep up. The KGB needed something that could chase down a fleeing spy without looking like it was built to chase down anything. They couldn't order Ferraris from Italy, they couldn't import American muscle. This was the Cold War. The Iron Curtain was real, the walls were real, and the paranoia was very real. So the KGB did what the KGB always did. They built a lie. The problem with being invisible. Surveillance in Cold War Moscow was an art form. The KGB had watchers on street corners, informants in apartment buildings, and entire departments dedicated to tracking foreign movements across Soviet cities. But tracking someone on foot is different from tracking someone in a car. And when your target is behind the wheel of a powerful Western vehicle with a skilled driver who knows he's being followed, you need something that can keep up. Standard Soviet police and surveillance vehicles in the 1960s were embarrassingly outmatched by Western cars available to diplomats and intelligence operatives. The performance gap was real, and the KGB knew it. What they needed was a pursuit vehicle with genuine performance capability, something that could sit on a target's bumper through city streets and highway runs without falling behind. But it had to be invisible, completely, totally, convincingly invisible. The moment a Western operative spotted a KGB surveillance vehicle, the operation was compromised. The tail had to look like traffic. The tail had to look like just another boring Soviet sedan going about its boring Soviet day. The solution they came up with was one of the most audacious pieces of automotive deception ever committed to metal. Stuffing a monster into a box. The engineers tasked with solving this problem looked at what they had available, and sitting in the Soviet automotive catalog, fitted to the massive ZIL and Chaika state limousines used by Politburo members and high-ranking officials, was the ZMZ-13, a 5.5-liter V8 engine producing around 195 horsepower. In 1960s Soviet terms, that was an absolute monster. The question was whether you could fit a Chaika's heart into a Volga's chest. The answer, after significant engineering creativity and probably some decisions that would make modern safety engineers weep, was yes. The result was the GAZ-23, the standard GAZ-21 Volga body, the standard GAZ-21 exterior. Every curve, every chrome strip, every unremarkable Soviet design detail completely intact. And underneath that aggressively ordinary sheet metal, a 5.5-liter V8 from a state limousine crammed into an engine bay that was never designed to hold anything remotely like it. The GAZ-23 Volga didn't just close the performance gap with Western vehicles, the GAZ-23 Volga eliminated it. A target in an American V8 sedan suddenly couldn't shake a surveillance car that looked like it should be struggling to make it up a moderate hill. The GAZ-23 Volga was fast in a way that made no visual sense whatsoever. But the engineers weren't finished, because a V8 has a very specific sound, and that sound would give the entire operation away the moment someone stood next to the GAZ-23 Volga at a traffic light. The trick that makes this car legendary, this is the detail that separates the GAZ-23 Volga from every other sleeper car ever built. This is the detail that moves the GAZ-23 Volga from clever engineering into something that feels closer to theatrical genius. The KGB modified the GAZ-23 Volga's exhaust system to sound like a standard four-cylinder engine. Think about what that means. They didn't just hide the V8 visually, they disguised the V8 acoustically. A trained ear standing beside the GAZ-23 Volga at idle would hear what sounded like the same agricultural four-cylinder rumble that every other Volga on the road produced. The sound that meant nothing. The sound that said, "Look away, nothing here, just another boring Soviet sedan." But that wasn't even the most theatrical part. Inside the GAZ-23 Volga's cabin, the KGB installed a fake clutch pedal, a fake manual gear shifter, a completely fabricated manual transmission interface that didn't connect to anything, because the GAZ-23 Volga ran an automatic transmission to handle the V8's torque. Any Western intelligence operative who managed to get eyes inside a GAZ-23 Volga would see a completely standard Volga interior. Standard instruments, standard controls. Nothing to report. The GAZ-23 Volga was lying to you visually, acoustically, and mechanically simultaneously. That's not a car, that's a cover story on wheels. The ghost cars. Here's where the story of the GAZ-23 Volga gets genuinely haunting. When a GAZ-23 Volga completed its service life, the GAZ-23 Volga wasn't retired. The GAZ-23 Volga wasn't sold off. The GAZ-23 Volga wasn't allowed to drift into civilian hands, where someone might start asking questions about why this particular Volga felt so different from every other Volga on the road. The GAZ-23 Volga was destroyed, crushed, scrapped, erased. The same institutional paranoia that created the GAZ-23 Volga ensured that the GAZ-23 Volga left no trace. Owning one was illegal for civilians. Even being aware of the GAZ-23 Volga's existence was the kind of knowledge that came with significant personal risk. These were state secrets that happened to have four wheels and a steering column. Later, the program evolved into the GAZ-24-24, an updated version wearing the newer Volga body, still hiding the same basic concept. Same deception, same acoustic tricks, same fake interior controls. The GAZ-24-24 Volga was the KGB's sleeper, refined, updated, and deployed through the 1970s and beyond. Almost all of them are gone. Finding a surviving GAZ-23 Volga or GAZ-24-24 Volga today is like finding something that the Soviet Union specifically, deliberately, and systematically tried to make not exist. A handful are believed to have survived, turned up in collections, emerged from old garages, been quietly preserved by people who understood what they were looking at. Each surviving GAZ-23 Volga is a ghost, a physical remnant of a program that was never supposed to leave a physical remnant. What the GAZ-23 Volga actually was. Strip away the Cold War drama for a moment. Strip away the KGB, the spies, the fake gear shifters, and the acoustic exhaust tricks. Look at the GAZ-23 Volga purely as an automobile. The GAZ-23 Volga was one of the most sophisticated sleeper cars ever conceived. It predated the entire modern sleeper car culture by decades. Every wolf in sheep's clothing build that enthusiasts celebrate today, the sleeper sedans, the grocery-getter muscle cars, the deliberately ugly fast things, every single one of them is doing unconsciously what the GAZ-23 Volga did by government mandate in the 1960s. The GAZ-23 Volga wasn't built for car culture. The GAZ-23 Volga was built to catch people. But in building the perfect mechanical deception, Soviet engineers accidentally created something that the automotive world is still chasing: the ultimate sleeper, the car that looked like nothing and was everything. the wolf that spent its entire life dressed as the most forgettable sheep in the flock. Before you go, if the GAZ-23 Volga just broke your brain the way the GAZ-23 Volga broke mine, hit that like button right now. This kind of forgotten automotive history only reaches people when you help push it there. Subscribe if you haven't already. Every week we dig into the cars that history tried to bury, the machines with stories that go so much deeper than horsepower numbers and lap times. And drop a comment below. Did you know the GAZ-23 Volga existed before this video? Because most people don't, and that's exactly what the KGB intended. The next one is coming, and it's just as dark. Stay curious and watch your mirrors.